Some breaking news here on the Cowboys Report featuring a pair of Cowboys legends. Both Lael and Damien Wilson are set to visit and work out today for the Dallas Cowboys as potential practice squad options late in the team's playoff push. They've locked a playoff spot. Can, of course, clinch the NFC East with a win against the Commanders on Sunday. We're going to break down both of these potential additions. We're going to pay more attention to Collins. It is the bigger name. Also, the Wilson one happened as we were about to film, so we had to add some last-minute stuff to it here. We will be live later today as well to answer any and all questions, thoughts, comments you have on these potential moves. And this is also why you subscribe. When news happens, we have you guys covered. Hit that sub button for me right now. The news broken about 20 minutes before filming, and maybe 25 minutes before filming here. So keep that in mind with everything going on. Ian Rappaport saying reunion. Free agent offense tackle Lael Collins arriving in Dallas to work out with the Cowboys per me and Tom Pelissero. Assuming he passes the physical, Dallas could sign him to the practice squad to work his way into football shape. I think that last part is very important. He does have to pass a physical, and it is at least implied, if not outright stated, Collins is not yet in football shape. Collins had been cut by the Bengals back in September after he suffered a brutal knee injury, was cut right before the start of the season. Now, Collins has taken visits so far this year. He has not signed with a team yet. I think in particular for this visit, the medical, checking in on that knee and the hip that had been lingering as an issue in the past, and seeing what shape he is in are critical parts of this potential visit, or the visit, I should say, and the workout, and figuring out how close he is to potentially helping you, or at least being the break-in case of emergency option on your practice squad. So would you sign Lael Collins? And of course, it is to the practice squad, not an active roster signing, which I do think drastically changes the answer here. But would you sign him? It's today's pinned comment. We'll get to Damien Wilson again later on here. Y for yes, N for no. If the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Now you can wind back the clock to November, the last time we really talked about Lael Collins outside of mailbag stuff, to September, when we first discussed the signing of Lael Collins. I have always said there is no such thing as a bad practice squad signing. You can always just cut him if it doesn't work well in the first few weeks or whatever. It's just like a 7th-round pick. It's not anything that really impacts things too much. It's fine. There's never been a bad practice squad signing in human history. You can just cut him with no real downside. And that's what I'd said in September. I didn't want to sign Collins to the active roster because, A, I knew he wasn't healthy. And that has been made very clear by the fact that it is now January, and he's only just now getting a Cowboys workout and visit. But practice squad, sure, that's never an issue. The physical part, I think, is going to be the key thing here. How does that physical check out? What sort of shape are we in? There's out of shape, in shape, and game day shape. And shape has been a problem in the past for Collins. Clearly, he hasn't been ready. I think that if it was ever any doubt, early on in September, October, the timing of those visits that he's taken and the lack of signing, I think, bears that out. This would be the 4th visit for Lael Collins this season. The 3 New York teams, or I guess New Jersey teams, and Dallas. He went on the New York tour in October. The Jets and Giants, 2 of the most injury-decimated teams in football along the offensive line, brought him in and said, nope. And then it was dead silent for basically 2.5 months. At the tail end of December, Collins visits Buffalo, and now he's going to visit Dallas. I think it was very clear the October results for the physical and shapeness were not what either side was looking for. Now he takes 2 playoff contender visits, Buffalo and Dallas, with the potential to, in theory, work his way into shape, be the break-in case of emergency option. Now, today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link's going to be in the comment section and the description of today's show. My picks for you guys. It's the flex play. 2 out of 3. Rolling it back with Dak Prescott because that one is hot. The Commanders' pass defense stinks. Rashad White against a bad, not as good, I should say, Panthers run defense. I'm going to go more than 73.5 yards on the ground. Kenneth Walker, a shaky Cardinals run defense. More than 62.5 yards on the ground. Again, folks, the link and promo code will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Before his injury last year, Lael Collins was okay. Not bad, certainly. He had put up pretty solid numbers, all things considered. Not great, not terrible. 5 sacks, 7 hits, 22 hurries, 73.5 PFF run grade. To put that in perspective on not quite 100 more snaps, it's 8 sacks for Terrence Steele this year, 12 hits, 32 hurries, the run blocking grade even worse. So that version of Lael Collins pre-injury was better than the version we've seen of Terrence Steele this year, if we believe the PFF numbers. The Cowboys are battling injuries up front. Tyron Smith is banged up. Seems like he's doing better now. Tyler Smith, I don't anticipate playing this year. We will come back to the potential left guard conversation of this whole thing. I wouldn't anticipate Terrence Steele being benched in favor of Lael Collins because, again, they suffered the same exact injury, which we will get into here in a little bit. But offensive line depth in January is basically impossible to find, because all the good ones are signed unless they aren't healthy, which has been the case for Lael Collins. So grade the Cowboys' offensive line this year. A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. Now, Collins has played left guard in the past. Before he had made the switch over to the right side of the offensive line, he had played what amounts to just under 1 season over the course of his career at the left guard spot. And I do think there was some revisionist history in terms of how good he actually was at the left guard spot. The breakout had come in 2019 and 2022 for Collins, and then he wasn't as good in 2021 for the Cowboys, 2022 for the Bengals. He kind of regressed there. Looking at his PFF grades right now, the pass blocking grade is shockingly low given the number of pressures allowed, which I find quite interesting. But the grades sometimes don't make sense. Didn't allow a sack, but did allow 28 hurries, which would have been among the most over the course of his career at the left guard spot. But again, it is January. There's not exactly a lot of good players out there. The medical is key here, as previously mentioned. The torn ligament in his toe in 2016 and the hip surgery in 2020. There's still dispute from different camps, I'll call it, as to what happened. Hey, was he out of shape and the hip got hurt? Or was the hip hurt and it was out of shape and then he needed surgery for it? There's disputes on that front there. Had a preseason back injury in 2022. And then near the end of the year, he had the exact same injury as Terrence Steele. He tore 3 ligaments in his knee. And you can see the difference in return to play. Terrence Steele was already at the return to play level. Return to performance, no. Lael Collins is maybe just now at the return to play standpoint. Maybe a quicker timeline to return to performance, which I think is maybe pushing it a little bit there. Given the original tweets of assuming he passes a physical, gets into shape, doesn't sound like he's ready to play yet. So my expectation of impact is pretty low. Again, you're not getting prime Lael Collins if you sign him. If you can get a competent 7th offensive lineman on the practice squad, that's an incredible signing in January. If you just get the 11th offensive lineman in January, that's still fine. It's the practice squad. This would likely just be depth for the Dallas Cowboys. It's also, I would argue, what smart teams do. If they got word Collins is finally healthy and in better position, sure. And again, a January addition to your practice squad is different than a September addition to your active roster. I never wanted to sign Collins to the active roster. Practice squad, yeah, I'm always fine with that. That's not a bad thing at all. Let's move now to Damien Wilson, the other Cowboys legend, coming in for a visit today for the Dallas Cowboys, the visit that we know of. Wouldn't be overly shocked if a second or third guy, or third or fourth guy sneaks in here. Wilson, meanwhile, is a Cowboys draft pick, spent a long time with Dallas from 2015, 2018. He had been cut by the Panthers back in March, has not played for a team this year. He's not that good. I would almost wonder if I'd just rather bring back Rashaan Evans at the practice squad. But hey, they're doing visits. They're seeing what kind of shape he's in. The guy they know, having spent 4 years in Dallas. Maybe they're going for the signs of the team and immediately win the championship, just like he did with the Chiefs. So pick one to sign. If you could only sign one, of course you can sign both. But which guy would you rather add? LC or Lael Collins, DW or Damien Wilson? Here are the Wilson numbers. Had a good tackle year with Jacksonville, 106 tackles, all very impressive. He also allowed 630 yards in coverage. So it's one of those, where are your tackles coming, which I think is always an undervalued element to everything. Average depth of tackle is important. His were not particularly great from that perspective, but he's mostly been a solid tackler. Doesn't miss a tremendous amount. I would argue 2018, he had some really bad efficiencies there, but he was good in 2017 in that area for Dallas. Kind of always was kind of more of a part-time hybrid linebacker. I'll be honest, I am surprised his name popped up. I will never lie to you guys or try to overspin things, whatever. I did not have Damien Wilson getting a Cowboys workout on my bingo card this year. He got cut in March, and I've heard nothing around him. It's interesting, I suppose. But Dallas has no linebacker depth, right? Damone Clark, Marquise Bell. By the way, they kind of low-key under the radar. I think we'll spend some more time on this here later. From a usage perspective, they significantly dialed back Damone Clark snaps. He's been playing almost every snap. He only played 50 of the 69, I think, against the Lions. That's a significant amount of snaps there. The practice squad is Buddy Johnson and Malik Jefferson. So adding a linebacker makes sense. I am just a little surprised it's Damien Wilson in that conversation.